He promised us that he would be a counselor, a mighty God and a Prince of Peace. He promised us that he counselor.
Hello, welcome to Carrier of His Presence broadcast. My name is Elder Jessie Darrell, and I am really excited about our broadcast today. For the last 4 weeks, or last 4 broadcasts, I've been discussing with you Martin Luther King's letter that he wrote when he was in jail in Birmingham, Alabama. And this week, I'm going to conclude my insight on and information on that letter. It was so exciting to me that I've just been thrilled about sharing some of the excerpts from that letter that he wrote. And the letter is so in time because he is calling on the ecclesia of God to rise up and become extremists for Jesus Christ. And in his letter, of course, he mentioned the first century church and the power and the boldness of the first century church to turn cities upside down. And as I looked at the letter, and I do periodically just look at the letter to review it and to read it, because it seems to stir up a zeal in me for the purpose that I have in the body of Christ. So what I want to share with you today is the last part of the letter, and I thought that I would just go back and review a few of the excerpts, bring us up to today in the event that this is the first time that you have tuned in to the broadcast. So one of the points that Dr. King said in the letter that he wrote to the 8 clergymen in Birmingham, Alabama, back in 1963. He was called an extremist, and that he was creating tension through his nonviolent means. And so Dr. King said that he's not afraid of the word tension. And the word tension always, sometimes, not always, but oftentimes carries a negative connotation to the listener. But what the Lord is calling the church to now, we are going to create tension. And tension just comes when people have different viewpoints on different matters, and we stand firm in whatever it is that we truly, truly believe in. Tension is going to be a result. And so I would say that the ecclesia of God have got to be prepared for the tension that's going to ensue from the work that the Lord have called us to. Dr. King continued to say, those who engage in nonviolent direct action are not creators of tension. And what he meant by that is, he said, whatever it is the Lord have called us to do, that we do it openly, that we do it lovingly, but we also do it with the anticipation that there's going to be an onslaught, or there's going to be something that's going to result from us coming up against anything that is not like God. So he said, we're not a creator of tension. He said, we merely bring to the surface the hidden tension that is already alive. That's one of the purposes of the church, in my opinion, that I don't feel that the first century church to preach Jesus was deliberately trying to create disorder. But when they preached the resurrection of Jesus Christ and spoke out against those that crucified him, it created tension to the place to where they were beaten and thrown out of a city. Well, with our social climate being what it is now is the time for the church to rise up and to become extremists for Jesus. That we not become a part of the status quo thinking, that we become conformists to what we know is wrong, that we can't call good evil and we can't call evil good, because we are not called to become part of the status quo. So I was very, very impressed when Dr. King said in his letter I'm not afraid of tension, because tension is going to be the result of speaking up against evil. Then he went on to say that he was told to wait for the right time. And his reply was, such an attitude stems from a tragic misconception of time, as if something in the very flow of time is neutral. Time is used either constructively or destructively. And so it's easy to say, well, tomorrow I will. Next week I will. When the children grow up, I will. When the children graduate, I will. When I get older, I will. Time is neutral, and we use time either constructively or we use time destructively. So he did not draw back from tension. He said, and there's a misconception of time. Now is the time for us to serve the Lord. Now is the time for us to stand up. Now is the time for us to speak out against the social ills that we see in our communities throughout the world now. Truly, we cannot rely on our evil justice system. Truly, we cannot rely on Washington. But now is the time for the church to rise up and to become that beacon and that North Star that the Lord have called us to. And now is the time that we use what God have given us constructively. Another point that Dr. King brought out was he warned the church about being more cautious than courageous. I mean, come on now. It's not the most comfortable thing to be the only one standing up. That's not a comfortable thing. But I tell you what, there's something, it's almost like a spirit breaks over our lives. Once we stand up and we take the hits, we are talked about, we are misunderstood, we are ostracized. It's like it just becomes so much of a part of our lives that it is not as uncomfortable afterwards as it is to break the ice that first time. So he's warning the church, come on now, saints of the living God, that you become extremists for Jesus Christ. He said not to be so cautious that your caution overrides your courage. Another thing he said is that it's the danger in us remaining silent behind the anesthetizing security of stained glass windows. Too many of us have been shaped into believing that once I go to church on Sunday, sing a few songs, and give my offering to the Lord, that I'm straight with heaven. I say not so. That's religion. It is deceptive, and it is not the ways of the Lord. It is time for us to rise up, take the spiritual authority that the Lord have given us, and to walk in it. You and I are life changers. We are called to be the head of the spear. We are to be pathfinders for the Lord. Now, my purpose may be different. Everybody is not a teacher. God has called me to teach his people. I do it with fervor. I do it uncompromisingly. I am very serious about the purpose that the Lord has called me to. Someone's purpose may be to serve. That's a beautiful gift as well, because whoever's in the background is making whoever's up front look mighty good and make what we do to be very easy. So whatever it is that the Lord have called us to do, I'm saying that you don't compromise and that we're not so cautious that we allow our courage to wane in the face of tension or opposition. Dr. King said there was a time when the church was very powerful and transformed the mores of society. I think that that's something else that we have got to take a look at, that we change the customs, some of the customs that people have gotten adapted to. We can look around us and just Dunamis is located in Flint, Michigan. Well, there's a lot of crime in Flint, Michigan. And I see a lot of ministries rising up in this city and taking charge. I see them marching. I see them speaking out. I see elected officials coming together, working with the churches. And I'm so impressed with that, because I know that there is a time on Sunday morning for us to come and experience Jesus Christ. But that's not the end of our responsibility, that we do have to make a difference. Why? Because if we are the carriers of truth, if we are the carriers of light, and we allow our society to put that light out, where is the truth? If we allow society to dictate to the church, of the living God, what's right and what's wrong, then we will lose our power and our effectiveness for Jesus Christ. So we are called to be extremists, and I really hope that these last 4 weeks that people are being excited about what the Lord is doing in the church, that if you will talk about, look, we're supposed to be extremists. We've got to rise up out of this rigidness that the church has gotten so accustomed to, and to become a powerful witness for our Lord. I believe that even though tension is going to be created, that we're going to make a difference for Jesus Christ. Dr. King said the ecclesia of the first century church was small in number, but big in commitment. He said they were too God intoxicated to be astronomically intimidated. And that's what we are called for now. That we're so God intoxicated, just drunk in the things of God, that nothing will intimidate us or cause us to back down from what we know God have called us to do. I know for a fact everyone is not ready to be taught. Not the truth. You can teach hype. You can teach cause and response. But once we get into this word and we look into this laver of sanctification, see what God have called us out of and into, you tend to back away if you're not ready for change. We tend to back away if we're not ready to be by ourselves. We tend to back away when we know that those that we love, we might have to walk away from, or the relationship is going to change. But I believe what the Lord said when he told us in his word. He said, look, I didn't come to bring peace on the earth. He said, but a sword. And so that means that family members are going to be against each other. That's not what he really wants. He's just warning us, this is the way it's going to be. Because there's some things that if we are the ecclesia of God, if we are that called out group, those that are called to stand in righteousness and holiness, those that are called into the kingdom to exhibit the love, the joy, the peace, and the righteousness of the Spirit, oh, I guarantee you that even those who say they love you will turn on you. So it's not like the Lord was hiding anything from us. He's letting us know. If you're silent, you'll probably find yourself around a lot of people, and people will like you. If you take a stand for Jesus, then those that are the ecclesia will love being around you, but everybody else, come on now, we're not called to be popular. If that is anyone's goal, if you're the ecclesia of God, you will be very, very disappointed. My goal in life, you listeners, my goal in life is to teach truth, and to teach it unadulterated, to be bold in it, and not blink in the face of adversity. That is my goal. That is my heart, and that is my passion. So whatever your goal is, whatever your purpose in this life is, in the face of tension and in the face of adversity, God have our back, and he have not called us to back down. So Dr. King goes and he continues and he says,